Welcome back, everyone. God evening. Another great night. I'm happy to be here. Every day that the Lord give us, that we're breathing on this side, is a blessing because it's another day that we can right our wrongs and try to get forgiveness and become in accord. If we become in accord while we on this side of the realm, which is the physical, as you have heard in the scripture, it will save us from death. As I always say when I start this show, my motivation with this is for us to fight our enemy, and our enemy is death. It is not each other. It is not one another. We have a common enemy as man, and that's death. And remember, hell follows. So, when I come on here, my motivation is always going to be about that. So, with that being said, I want to get into some new stuff. What's going on with you guys? What's going on out there? I know y'all love this social media stuff, which I keep telling you is so much poison, and makes sense that it's poison because what happens when a snake bites you, you get venom, you're poisoned. The snake originally bit man, and we've been poisoned ever since as man. The only thing that could get that venom out is Christ. The only one who has the power over death, demons, is Christ. So as I was saying, you guys love this social media stuff because you have been bitten. We all have, and we all should be looking for a cure. But let's get into it. So what I've noticed again, on this social media thing is I saw a rant with Funk Master Flex. Shout outs to Funk Master Flex, and shout outs to T.I. as well. About the King of the South. I do love hip hop. I grew up on hip hop, and I know you guys love hip hop, so let's talk about it. Who's the King of the South? Does T.I. make the correct claim? Is he the King of the South? Well, as many of you guys know that follow me and know my story, I know very much about the South. He was in back and forth, one of those New York, Harlem guys, in the South like that, back and forth. Shout outs all day. Norfolk, Virginia, Newport News, Virginia, the whole Hampton Roads, you know what I'm saying? Shout outs to the whole Hampton Roads. Shout outs to Richmond, VA as well. Shout outs to North Carolina, shout outs to Hereford, Greensville, oh man, the list goes on. Shout outs to Georgia, Georgia, definitely home, another home. Columbus, Georgia, number one, shout outs. Atlanta, Georgia, shout outs. Much respect, Georgia. South Carolina, Orangeburg, much shout out, respect. I've had, pretty much in my life, I had a tour throughout the South, so I'm very well of the South. When you guys had no idea with any of the South rappers, I kind of hold myself responsible of introducing them. When I was back in the early 90s, I was like one of the only New York dudes that was, making moves, doing this thing, big truck, big all that jewelry. And I had, always I had like a system. So when I would go to the South, I only played New York music. Because in the South, they didn't know the New York music. So let me tell you, they didn't know in the 90s, they didn't know who Nas was, Nasty Nas, Nas. They did not know who he was in Georgia. They did not know who Mobb Deep was in Georgia. They did not know who, none of these guys that we here on the East Coast, think so much about. They didn't know these people. They didn't know Jay-Z until the song Big Pimpin'. That is not who it was like they drink from a whole different water in the South. Our legends wasn't, so much who they legends was. Their legends was people we never heard of. So, and our legends was people that they never heard of. Of course, they knew Run DMC, LL Cool J, but they didn't really know that in between era. Again, they didn't know who Nas was. That was so crazy to me that they didn't know who Nas was. They didn't know who Mobb Deep was. They didn't know these people. So that was, something. Now, being that I was in the South, I did get to see who they liked. I learned the culture of their hip hop, and I learned the movement. Now, so let me say this: hip hop in the South was not hip hop how you guys have it now. When I was in the South, their sound was totally different. Their sound was what you call crunk music. You know what I'm saying? In Georgia, man, everywhere I would be at, on every block, these guys would pull up with that crunk that, that it was just like, the sound was so different than New York. And it would drive me crazy because it was not our type music. I couldn't even understand it at first, But after, being, in the town with the brothers, town to town, I began to grow to the sound of it. So now at that time, I would say, this would be, let's say, let's go to like 1994. Around the year of 1994, Little John, Little John was like, I won't always say that Little John was the president, but I would definitely say Little John was like the governor. You know what I'm saying? He was definitely, there was nowhere in Georgia that Little John was not playing hard, and that was, it was just different. That Little John and the East Side Boys, was just crazy. Now, ironically, at the time, who was the president, of there, which I don't even understand what happened to this person and how come they didn't rise exactly how they were supposed to rise, because they ran the South when I was out there. Ran the South. And that's Pastor Troy. Pastor Troy in 94 was equivalent to Jay-Z in 98. You know what I'm saying? Pastor Troy was the man in the South. He was, oh man, that music. Yes. Shout outs to Georgia. Yeah, I sold me on that after a while. You know, like I said, at first I couldn't get with it because I'm a New York Harlem cat. But after a while, yeah, the music, resonated to me. By being with you guys, becoming a part of y'all culture. Um, so yeah, Pastor Troy. You had groups out there that were major, that we never heard of, that you guys never heard of to this day. But these groups are solidified. Shout outs to the Dayton family. Shout outs to Field Mob. It's legends, legends in the South that you guys probably never heard of. The list goes on and on and on. There's so much, but you know what I'm saying? Names that jump out. But let's get back to this King of the South thing. So who was the King of the South? Now, back then, 8 Ball and MJG were definitely, man, they're like founders. Like they go into, they go into a whole different category. You know what I'm saying? UGK they are like the Mount Rushmore of the South. They sit there, in that if there was a Mount Rushmore, they can't be at all taken out. So when you say king, we have to look at, are you saying overall king, a king right now at this present point, or who is the overall king throughout this hip hop thing? I think when we speak about who's the king, that will be governed by an entire body of work. Not that you might have someone hot right now, and I know you guys have named, somebody that's probably, to y'all that is making noise like Little Baby or something like that, or The Baby. And shout out to both those guys. I've been with both of them. But do their body of work add up to some of the legends that's before them, that's from the South? So let's look at that. Now, let's get right to it. T.I. says that he is the king of the South. Now, this is what I will say about T.I. I was in the land of Georgia, on the blocks. He was strong, and when I say strong, I don't mean like rap strong. His family strong, his name was strong, he back then in the early 90s, his family was strong, out there on the street. And it makes sense because his dad is from Harlem, allegedly, but yeah, from what I understand, his father is a Harlem guy. So that will show you, have a lot to do with how he was raised. He had a lot of respect on the street, out there before before you guys even knew of T.I., the way you know of him here on the East Coast or in New York. Yeah, he was strong in Georgia. He had a lot of respect, so I recognize that right there. And he was one of the only ones that was really from Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? When I was there, I'm not going to names and do all of that, but a lot of those guys that was rapping, that was saying they was from Atlanta, really wasn't from Atlanta. They was from outskirts cities that's in Georgia. But that's fine, because I would be in those outskirts cities too. And don't get it twisted. Those outskirts cities are strong as well. But Atlanta's like the recognized, that's the recognized spot. So everybody want to associate themselves music-wise, with Atlanta because that's what you guys know. You guys never heard of, these other little, spots that's, surround Atlanta, an hour away in Georgia. But, you have a whole community there of strong rappers, streets, everything that we go through, out there. So that's one thing to make clear. So T.I. was really from Atlanta, and he really had the street. Now, because he was really from Atlanta and he really had the street, that king thing, he was already being said. Now, it reminds me of another rapper that we have. God bless the dead Prodigy. I wish I had got an opportunity to chop it up with that brother, very spiritual brother. Back then, he said he was the king. He used to say he was the king of New York. Now, Prodigy was good. Prodigy was definitely in the Mount Rushmore. But most of us understood when he was saying that he was the king of New York. It wasn't on a commercial level. We understood that he was saying more so he was the king of the underground. He was like the king of the street. It would be a hard argument to say that he was, the king commercially, because during his time, we all know the Michael Jordan of hip hop, was Jay-Z at that time, so yeah, it was just, it was no argument back then at that time, so, that reminds me similar of the situation. So if I look and think about King of the Street, yes, at that time, it was what T.I. changed the sound of hip hop in the South, especially Georgia. Georgia guys didn't sound the way they sound now to T.I. When T.I. came out, he changed that whole sound. The sound was different. I was there, I know for a fact. So shout out to T.I. on that. King of the underground, king of the street, I could see that. You know what I'm saying? For the levels he took it to, I could kind of see where he could make that argument. But I think they're talking about King of the South overall. And that's a good one, guys. That is a good one. King of the South overall. Wow. You have a huge, all right, so you got Gucci Mane, you got Jeezy. Before I even go further, let me tell you the impact of those two. Jeezy, when Jeezy came out, when Jeezy first came out in the 90s, when he first came out, maybe was it the late 90s or early 2000s, Jeezy came out, something like that. Man, that trap thing became a movement. You know what I'm saying? He had a whole legion of movement of, people that was trying to either be him out there in the South or, be a part of, his movement. Jeezy can't, he's definitely, and he's had a large body of work, he's been in the game now. I grew up with him, and he's got to be my age, so so we have to overlook his body of work. Jeezy has a huge body of work. And he's had a huge impact on hip hop. Gucci Mane, whoa. For you young guys that don't know, Gucci Mane, another one. Very unfortunate the beef that happened with him and Young Jeezy. Again, guys, we are not each other's enemy. We hurt each other, we kill one another. Only ushering each other to the death that's coming for the both of us. Like, we're gonna get a favor from death because we help usher our brother to it. Doesn't work like that. He's gonna turn around and still come get you too. So that was an unfortunate situation between those two, but the rise of Gucci Mane can't never, be discounted in the South. That was major. It was major. That was just, that whole Gucci Mane movement too was a major movement. I watched hip hop, take a shift, but with that as well. But mind you, the shift, all of these shifts I didn't see it happen before T.I. You know what I'm saying? Again, he was responsible, from what I saw, of changing the sound of Georgia music. Because let me explain something to y'all too about the South. So Georgia, Virginia is not as southern as Georgia. And Georgia is not as southern as, say, like Mississippi or something like that, or Memphis, perfect example. It's not as southern, but they're all the South. And but people in Virginia are influenced more by New Yorkers. People in Georgia are influenced more by what they call the Deep South. The Deep South is Georgia and beyond. Virginia, Philadelphia, all of that wouldn't be considered the Deep South at all. The Deep South is the point of Georgia and on. Georgia, Alabama, and going on down will be considered the Deep South. The Deep South is definitely Memphis. So Georgia is influenced by that. So again, that has a lot to do with why we don't know a lot of their legends. So now, getting back to it. You had so many people that before T.I. came had a different sound that are critical to the music of the South. Now, we could BG, Soulja Slim. Soulja Slim, another one, amazing guy. You know what I'm saying? Amazingly talented dude. For the young folks out there that haven't heard Soulja Slim, get his stuff. Rest in peace to him. Praised in the South. BG was strong back then. King of the South, I can't, again, a king, everyone can't be the king. There's a lot of qualifications that come with that. A king is someone who has to have almost the trust and respect of the people. The king has to, at the same time, maintain authority and discipline, must at the same time have affection, sympathy and compassion. The role of a king is to be responsible for the people at all times and make sure that his kingdom is provided for and governed correctly under God. Everyone can't be the king, but you got, a lot of, people on the board that play valuable roles. The bishop is valuable, you know what I'm saying? The knight is valuable, You have a lot, even the pawn is valuable. But everyone can't be the king. Everything is valuable on the board because we're all together on the board. But everyone have their different positions according to God for the reasons they need to live out their mission. Now, getting back to it, all of those guys was great. King status, no. So let's stick to the nitty gritty of the king status. So let's go into king status. And I want to start with before T.I. Again, UGK was very powerful, so I will have to say that before the death of Pimp C, Pimp C was definitely a king. You know what I'm saying? Was he the king of the South? It's arguably. You know what I'm saying? I hear Scarface name thrown in. Much respect. I love you, Scarface. You are my brother. That is in my heart. I used to be that kid too. That when Scarface came out, changed my mind. Like I was on it. I was on that flow, that darkness, that poetic, deepness. Again, younger generation that don't know Scarface get mind playing tricks on me. Get Diary of a Madman, you know what I'm saying? Mind playing tricks on me. That was a single, but get his album. Diary of a Madman, definitely amazing album. Just a amazing album. But yes, his body of work is amazing. Was Scarface king? No. And it's not a rapping ability thing. I want you guys to understand being a king goes beyond that. So, when we deal with kings of the South, let's see who really fits in these categories. So far, we have Jeezy, we have Gucci Mane. Those two can't be taken out at all. They are top. Now, if we just dealing with rappers, of course, Jermaine Dupri will probably want to look, but I think we're talking about, rappers, and I don't think Jermaine Dupri really consider that himself as a rapper. So let's go to the elephant in the room, Lil Wayne. The world, the impact Lil Wayne have gave on the world was oh boy, man, it's like, it's been 30 years, pretty much. He's been rapping from a kid. He was, doing the thing a long time. And I heard of him out there back then, you know what I'm saying? Lil Wayne is in the bag. He's in that bag, Now, if you ask me, is Lil Wayne king of the South? Again, it doesn't matter how good you rap. Being a king goes beyond that. You know what I'm saying? It goes, I feel it goes a little bit beyond that. But he's definitely in the mix. his name is in the mix. So if anything, we about to get, when I finish, maybe the top 10 rappers of the South, you know what I'm saying? And then you guys get in the comment section and you tell me out the 10, who do you feel is the king? I'll give you my opinion at the end of it. So far we got Gucci Mane, we got Jeezy, we got Lil Wayne, legitimately, you know, in the mix. Pimp C is passed on, we can't put him in the mix. I don't think Bun B, I mean, yes, Underground Kings, but I don't think Bun B tries to put himself as the king of the South. I don't even think he puts himself in that mix. Shout outs to Bun B, much respect, you know, you see me in pictures and videos with him. Very positive brother, much respect to Bun B. I don't think he rocks, I don't think that, you know, that's right, you know, how his thing works. Yes, Underground King, but he mean we all kings, right? Now, so let's keep continuing to look. Maybe I won't even get to 10. It might, you know, it might only come out to 5. Who am I missing, guys? You know, come in the comment section. It's a couple people I'm holding back because maybe these couple people is the ones I think that are really the ones that hold that category. Now, so we went to Lil Wayne, you know, with Lil Wayne, you know, Juvenile, shout out to him, much respect, but yeah, I don't think he's in thing of the South argument from the being the South. Future. Future, as we all have seen, for what now? It's been what? Maybe 15 years. Future has made I remember when I first heard him, he's made some type of impact on hip hop. I don't know whether all the way to say negative or positive, but he's made an impact on hip hop. He's made an impact on music. King of hip hop. It goes more than that, I keep telling you. So no, very talented, very good, but can I say king of the South? No. But name in the mix. So go ahead, add Future's name to the mix because yes, he can't be denied as far as that go to add his name to the mix. Shout outs to Killer Mike, you know what I'm saying? Mike, we gotta do it again, Mike, you know what I'm saying? You're my brother, you know. We had a good little back and forth on that show that day. You know, we have to learn how to build as brothers, and even though we might not agree with each other's points, to be able to hold respectful conversations so that the kids and the people that's watching us could be able to make sound decisions and hear both of our stances. I think if we're willing to actually listen to each other sometimes, that our stance don't be so far off, you know. So shout outs to Killer Mike. So now, Killer Mike, you know what I'm saying? A beautiful career, you know, a wonderful career. He just, you know, won, you know, the big award thing, I think, was that a Grammy? So yeah, you know, best rap album of the year or whatever. Killer Mike put in work a long time, you know what I'm saying? Can his name be thrown in the bag with these other ones that I've mentioned? Yes, definitely his name could be thrown in the bag. Now, is Killer Mike the king of the South? No. But as much respect, you know what I'm saying? fantastic albums, everything like that, but it's not judged upon that. It goes beyond that. And you guys put it in the comment section. How do you judge what you consider the best, the best that will fit the category of being the king of the South? That's a huge claim. So what are the qualifications? You tell me. Big Boy, and Andre 3000, amazing. Again, in Georgia, they're not from Atlanta, but they always made that known, so it not a shock to them with that. They're from Sankofa, and I think with groups, it's hard to take somebody out the group and say that they're a king because they've been with a group the whole time. The king is a solo seat, you know what I'm saying? The only closest thing to a partner the king have is his queen, you know. So it's hard for me to take groups, even though I recognize the talent that has been in some of these groups, but to really judge that, because yes, it got to be their personal body of work for me, you know, and who they are overall for me, you know. But I can see how you guys want to say, you want to throw their names. Definitely Andre 3000 in the mix, you know, I can see that, you know, that's, you know, but yeah, I'm looking at the entire body of work from a solo point of perspective instead of a group. All right. Anybody I'm missing? I think we're up to 6. So, is there anyone on that list that sticks out there? I'm sure that it's a few. Young Boy. You can't kind of leave out Young Boy. Young Boy. Let me tell you about Young Boy. And I wish I could get with you, Young Boy. You know what I'm saying? We could have, we could chop it up. You know what I'm saying? You need the real older guys to, you know, talk to you guys about The Liar. Because it's so evident with a lot of you young guys, you just been lied to your whole life. And, you know, a lot of y'all rebellion and being misplaced comes from The Liar. You know what I'm saying? So, shout out to Young Boy, you know what I'm saying? I hope one day we could build, you know what I'm saying? But now, going back to him, let me tell you about him. So, my oldest son / nephew, my sister's son, but I raised him as mine. He's in Georgia, you know what I'm saying? You've seen him, you know, he comes back and forth to New York with me sometimes. But yeah, I raised him from a baby, back and forth with my sister. So I want to say this had to be maybe 2015, I want to say. Maybe 2015, maybe 2016, around that time. 2015 to 16. I just happened, you know, he was, you know, growing up, so, you know, I always hear him listening to, you know, all this music I never heard, you know. So I asked him, I said, So who's the hottest rapper right now? What should I be listening to? Because the young guys listen to music that we never even heard of. People we don't know, nothing like that. He gave me a whole list, and on the top of the list was this kid, NBA Youngboy. And I think at the time he had no albums out, no nothing. He was doing mixtapes, but he told me, this is the one. I'm telling you, he's the one. He's, And I come to find out later on, yes, NBA Youngboy have a whole legion of followers, and people that I don't know if they want to be him or just he have, like almost a cult leading. King of the South, of course not. Not a long enough catalog yet, even though he has been out a while, but to compare to some of the people we've named, I don't think you could. Is he a young king? Sure, you know what I'm saying, but the king, no. More like, one of the princes, and all the princes is not going to become king. I feel I'm forgetting, a few before we get to the nitty gritty of who I ultimately give that to from my experience of being in the South. It's like two more people. Did I say, I say a Little Baby and the Baby. They definitely in the mix. I'm sure I'm gonna kick myself later. No disrespect to anyone I didn't mention in that watching this, like, Bigger, what's wrong with you? You ain't mention me. So no disrespect. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going by what I remember in my mind with certain individuals. So there's one person, because I get to it, I think I'm up to 7 and I can't really think of more because everyone that I think of, I'll be able to show you off top. Can't you see how they're kind of really not the king? There's something else on the board. Anything could claim to be the king, but the king. So, King of the South, that means again, who overall took care of the South? Who overall made the South what it is to where you guys got it popping right now? And I have to, no matter how much I think about it, say that's Master P. Shout outs to Master P.
Don't fucking play with me, Bigger!
Doing what I do and they don't like it. They don't like it. They don't like it. Every time it's proved and they remind it. They remind it that they don't like it. If you don't like, they could have further like it.
Keep moving, never in a hurry.
But they know stupid games and stupid prizes. And they don't like it. No, they don't like it.
Don't approach me excited. I might get nervous, and I'm not liable for what I do to you if I'm nervous. Back you down, smack you around, empty a round up in your punk ass clown. Me against you, now that's a slaughter. I give you your own blood to drink like water. I'm begging one of y'all niggas to get out of place, and I'ma have to shotty egg this in your face. Max men with gas move in, your ass
Sean, it's a miracle. United we stand, divided we fall. And you thought you was nice, Larry Core. He said hip hop, so I said hooray. Treacherous rhymes like Keith Murray. Celestial